Friends, today I would like to discuss a very important issue that is highlighting the entire world news today, is how we manage our oceans, especially what we have learned from Hormuz Strait closing by Iran. Let me start with how this whole idea of managing oceans started to come. The ocean from the very beginning were never controlled by men. The men fought war over land, but never over the oceans, for the oceans. They were always treated like commons. Things started to shape after Industrial Revolution, when the shipment became a very important element of international trade and commerce. The countries started to realize the importance of seas, and then there was the idea that how we should control oceans. Two prominent ideas started to develop in Europe at that time. The one was Dutch, which is known as Mare Liberum, which basically communicated that ocean belonged to none and nobody should have sovereign right over the oceans. Every country has a right to shipment, passage, as well as use of resources that is provided by oceans. An alternative ideology started to develop in Britain, very not surprisingly from a country which colonized the rest of the world, came to be known as Mare Clausum, which says that the sovereign right over the ocean should belong to the country. And that was the preeminent idea, that the country should have exclusive right to use resources over that. But fortunately for the world, the first idea prevailed, and it was a greater realization that the ocean never belonged to anyone and there should be a free use of ocean for everyone. So Mare Liberum prevailed. Things continued till the Second World War. Second World War brought about a shift in the international trade, with a large amount of movement of ships across the world. And the newly developing countries started to think that they can use ocean for development purposes. So there was a need to have an institutional mechanism to control oceans. And things started to evolve very rapidly. In 1982, we had a first international convention called as UNCLOS, United Nations Convention for the Law of Seas, which actually managed to manage the seas globally, or oceans globally. There are three important elements of this. One is called territorial seas, which are basically the area within 20 nautical miles from the what you call coastal line of a country, which is exclusive sovereign right over the country has a sovereign right over it. Its laws, regulation prevail over these rights, but still allows the movement of ships, which is called the innocent traffic. It cannot restrict the movement of ships from any country, despite it is in the territorial sea. The second was called as exclusive economic zone, which is 200 nautical miles from the coastal line of a country, which is not the sovereign territory, but the country has right to use the resources, undertake research, but allow safe passage of the ships across these areas. Another is continental shelf, which is not much important, so I'll not discuss about it. So these three important elements. Besides, there are other things started to emerge. One was known as London Convention. Other was BBNJ, that is called the Biodiversity Beyond National Jurisdiction, to prevent the pollution and basically pollution of the ocean by movement of ships. So it wanted to control biodiversity. So the London Convention, BBNJ, all basically were another element to manage but they were not much important. But tensions started to emerge over exclusive economic zones, which says that country has control over can use the resources up to 200 nautical miles. This is fine if the two boundaries do not match. You think of country like China, Taiwan, Philippines, Malaysia, Brunei, which have the exclusive economic zone, which is overlapping. So they fight over that, who belong to it. So there was war over Spratleys Islands and Parcel Islands in South China Sea, Eastern China, which became a battleground for controlling oceans, which we never know. We realized the importance of fight over seas only recently, but it is an ongoing game since long ago. Now we realize that the straits plays very important role. Now we realize from Hormuz. So what is the strait? Strait is a water body, small water body that connects two larger water bodies. This small water bodies can be part of territorial sea of the country, which is 20 miles. So any country can claim the sovereign right over it. But the international UNCLOS doesn't provide for that. But if all this would work only if the country is a signatory to UNCLOS. Iran says it can restrict the movement of ship from Hormuz Strait because it has not been signatory to UNCLOS. Now, even if it is a signatory to UNCLOS, Can world restrict the movement of the Iran can restrict? Yes, because that depends upon whether there's an enforcement agency for UNCLOS. Unfortunately, we have an international law, but there's no enforcement agency. There's no global police. It can be managed only through three things: military power, diplomacy, international pressure. There's no international mechanism to control oceans and ensure that a country follows international rules and regulation. What Iran is exactly doing is violating the UNCLOS and saying that it doesn't accept the world order. And that is the play between power and the law. Anyone who is powerful always controls the law. Law never controls powerful. And that's might is right, is defining the current world order and maritime management. I think this is the turning point. We need to think that how we should manage the oceans, but we need to think of an international police. I don't know whether it is coming or not. Thank you very much.